we mentioned it. You heard in the update. The Commanders have signed veteran guard Sam Cosmi to a 4-year extension. Good for him. Contract is worth potentially up to $74 million, $45 million guaranteed. $45 million guaranteed.
And like you mentioned earlier, he's not going to be spending that money on haircuts or razors.
No.
So, I mean, that's just more money to his bottom line.
He's
Good for
going
him.
with that traditional O-lineman, big ugly look.
Good for
God
that
bless
guy.
him. Second-round pick out of Texas. Remember, he was originally drafted to play tackle. And then they moved him to the guard. And JP mentioned the good comp to Brandon Sheriff, who they did let go. I think Sheriff, I feel like, was holding out for very, very top dollar.
He got it.
Also different regime.
Yeah.
That's what I think the biggest thing which jumps out to me is that the previous regimes often botched contracts.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, number one. Brandon Sheriff, number two. You could probably think of others where these are guys that should have stayed with the organization because they were performing well.
You also heard so many stories about Dan being cheap. You know, and the stadium falling apart, and they hadn't put in real money to update it in years and years and years. Yeah, makes sense.
And you're
Didn't wanna
seeing the
pay
new
some of these
ownership
guys.
group. They're refurbishing the stadium because
Right.
we know they're going to be there at Northwest. It's now known as Northwest Stadium for the next probably 6 or 7 years.
What are they saying? 20.
Sounds like they're targeting like 2030 or 2031.
Because even
That's still a ways off.
2031 is probably optimistic if you think about the fact that they still don't have a site. They obviously don't have. If you don't have a site, you can't have a real architectural plan and everything. You know what I mean? Like
they're a long way away.
They're a long way away.
Yeah.
We're still going to be going out to that dump, which is, I feel bad calling it a dump because when they win, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
And we loved it so much when we did that first show.
We were also
ever.
young. We were also young and green.
Yeah, but we walked in there.
We were in awe of the
And
newness.
we were like, wow, this is amazing.
I mean, it
we
was
did
so
our
long.
show.
That was so long ago. Wasn't Paul Tagliabue the NFL commissioner?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Paul-
a long time ago.
We shared next door urinals after he was on the show.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, me and that old man, we were going pee-pee together.
Sure.
We'll never, ever be that close to Goodell.
That's fine.
You think we will?
I don't know. I don't rule out anything.
Well, we don't ever go to events where
if we went to like a player, he wouldn't show up at a players' party. That'd be
No.
the last place he'd show up. Anyway, I do think it's also interesting. There's this idea that they want to get rid of Ron guys. Well, Ron drafted Cosmi.
Yep.
Right. So
That was
It's
you know
probably
what?
his best draft
That's
pick.
yeah. Give Ron credit. He actually stumbled upon one good draft.
Is
pick.
Cosmi his best draft pick?
Yes.
It's got to be, right?
I would think so.
Unless you go with like St. Just.
Right.
No.
I think Cosmi's better.
I think St. Just has so much potential, but he's inconsistent. But anyway, it's a big deal. They got it done before the season. There's a big piece of that O-line. He'll be here for years to come. But again, if you look at issues, the offensive line is still certainly an issue on this football team. We don't know if they've got their answers everywhere else. So we'll have to see. Big game this weekend, obviously, against Tampa. I'm just looking at the injury report, and they came out with the depth chart. We went through that yesterday. Johnny Newton still listed as questionable. Now, questionable's different now. I don't know quite what it exactly means.
Because I don't think they have a doubtful.
Yeah,
It's either questionable or
probable
Or out.
or out. Yeah. So Deron Payne is questionable. I assume Deron's going to play. I know Mariota. I think did he back out of practice
I
yesterday?
think questionable is now the new
Probable.
It's the new probable over
He's
the
got a
last
chest
couple
injury,
of
right?
years.
Yeah, he's got something weird. And then Trent Scott. So those are guys that are questionable heading into this game. Remember, it's not a 1:00 start on Sunday. So when you get all your plans and activities, and your wife wants you to go run errands or whatever, you're not doing that at 4:25.
Oh, you got to get it done early.
Yeah, get it done early.
Go out
You-
to Harris Teeter or Giant Safeway at like 8 in the morning.
Right, and
Get it done. Get it
By the
done.
way, everybody's ready at 1 p.m. All right, they're not going to watch the Commanders, but they're going to watch all the rest of the NFL at 1.
Well,
so
a lot
it's
of
pretty
people
much
do.
1 until
Yeah,
you go
but
to
some guys
sleep.
don't have that kind of pin pan.
Almost
Some guys-
everybody is going to watch from 1 o'clock till they go to sleep.
No, I think some guys they got to do stuff. Like their wife makes them.
I got a soccer game. It's at 10:30, I
stuff.
believe.
Yeah.
Done.
Jason, this is a good week for you to like drive around and see guys sitting out in front of Starbucks like at 2:00.
And they're just
like,
losers.
Just question like, what are you doing?
Right?
Dude, what are you doing? Like there's like 7 games on right now.
Right.
But if I was out at the same time,
I know,
I'd be a loser
yeah,
too.
I know. I just mean like social experiment.
Yeah,
you could go out and like
Yeah.
what are these people doing with their lives?
Yeah, I mean, people go take hikes on Sunday afternoons
Yeah.
at 1:00.
Right.
If you go hiking with
What
your
do you
wife or
call
girlfriend,
those people?
they're losers. That's what you are.
Well, I'm just saying for that crowd.
I think you're a
some-
loser if you do it on a Saturday too.
There are some people that have young kids.
Yeah.
I know.
They can't just sit there and watch football for 12 hours.
No.
We're in a little bit of a different.
I will be driving
part of
back
life.
from Durham during the early slate.
Mhm.
You think I'm not going to be asking one of my kids in the car, hey, what's happening in the Cowboys Browns game? I need updates.
Can you get the Red Zone channel on an iPad potentially?
I guess that's
What-
possible.
What
sure.
time are you leaving Durham?
TBD, but probably like
11, 10, 11,
might be earlier. Might be like
8.
Why
might be
don't you
like
leave at
9.
6?
Might be
Why
like
don't you leave at
9
6?
o'clock.
Why don't you just like eliminate the stress
I mean, I wanted to at least see my my son for
for
you know,
breakfast?
Yeah,
You have
maybe
to
do
see 'em off for
breakfast and then throw everybody in the car and then drive north.
I get that.
Fast.
But I might duff him in the morning and just to hightail it
No,
out.
we'll do breakfast and then hopefully like a southern biscuit,
Yeah.
gravy, sausage gravy, and then hop in the car, speed home.
Right.
Well, if the Commanders played at 1:00, since it's your job,
Oh, then I'd be leaving
you'd
at
leave at 8, 7, 8.
I'd leave at like 6.
Yeah.
That would be the move.
You're
Yeah,
gonna miss your boy Kirky at 1:00 against the
Oh,
Steelers.
to get Kirky updates. See him throwing balls to Drake London.
I'm
swing
intrigued
passes to
by
Bijan
C.J. Stroud
Robinson.
versus Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, that's going to be
Good
interesting.
one.
Now-
Sorry, I'm
Plus
getting
Caleb
sidetracked from the
Williams at 1.
Commanders.
all
Gotta
good.
get it back.
So I often like to look at last 5, even though it was last year.
Mhm.
But with the Commanders, I really think it's not relevant. Terrible coaching staff. They're completely turned over the roster, right? 30 new players.
Yeah.
So we're just going to ignore the fact that we're coming in on a 4-game losing
Oh,
streak.
yeah, that means nothing.
Well,
That
there-
means zippy.
Right. So just throw
Those
that out.
all Ron's rejects
What are,
for the most part turned in those duds.
Actually, I don't even think this thing is correct. The last 5.
By the way, EB, you want some optimism for Jaden Daniels
Yes.
facing the Tampa Bay defense?
Yeah.
I'm stealing these nuggets from Derek Brown from Fantasy Pros. He's a good follow on
Yeah.
Twitter.
No, that's true.
Last year, Tampa Bay allowed the 3rd highest passing yards per game, the 8th highest yards per attempt, and the 12th most passing touchdowns.
So there's some opportunity there.
And the Bucs ranked 21st in pressure rate last year. Have a hard time getting to the quarterback.
Well, they do. Everybody hypes up Todd Bowles and his pressure packages
Mhm.
and his blitz packages. So they're going to give him different looks. That's for sure. You listen to all the analysts; they say that he's licking his chops to have a shot here at Jaden. Question is, will Jaden and the offensive line will they all be in sync? Will he be able to, respond?
Last season, Tampa allowed the 2nd most passing touchdowns and the 8th highest deep completion rate.
Well,
Jaden might be going bombs away to Terry McLaurin. Oh, Dalvin Brown streaking down the sideline. Here's a deep ball for you, sir.
What
Could
do
be
you-
some optimism
What do you
there.
make of the fact that I don't make much of it, but that Diame was early on listed as in the top 3 of the receivers, and now he's in that sort of second
read
tier.
Now,
too much
who-
into depth
Who
charts.
took his spot? McCaffrey?
McCaffrey's
has
elevated
kind of
on
been
the depth
elevated.
chart, but I don't read that much into NFL depth charts.
EB, the last time they faced each other, Taylor Heineke led the Commanders to a win.
Is that when he dove for the pylon? Was that against Tampa, or was that,
was a
couple
loss,
years
They
ago?
right?
lost. That was the
They
That
lost
was
That
a
was a
that
playoff game.
game
They
they
lost to
lost.
Brady.
Yeah,
with nobody in the stadium.
I can't remember when
They played him, I
was,
think, in the regular season and following that.
that following.
Do you miss Chase Young going, Haneke? You miss that bit?
No.
I know you don't miss that bit
But
at
just
all.
getting back to kind of like the last 5, you want to know, I do think it's somewhat relevant with Tampa. And I guess it was like their last 6 or so. They beat Carolina. Don't take too much stock in that. They beat Atlanta. They beat Green Bay. They beat Jacksonville. They lost to New Orleans. And then their last regular season game, they beat Carolina again 9-0. Not super impressive.
Tampa's
pick.
minus 170 on the money line, so pretty heavy favorite to win.
I looked at these analysts
Laying
on
3.
USA Today, all picking
Tampa.
Tampa.
Love
I
it.
like that.
Go
Do
against the
like it.
grain.
I like that.